everybody. Welcome to another MoGraph podcast. I'm your host, Matt Milstead. Joining me this week is our good friend, Mr. Cameron Butterfield.
Howdy.
I hope everything is sounding okay because Teams, it has been my 3-week fight with Teams. As I got on Teams this morning, it said you need to update your NDI. It will not work without this update. So of course, you know what that you do right before a show. Dave is like going like this right now. I'm sure off screen, like, no, you don't update before a show, but it was forcing me to. So I updated the NDI and then I couldn't get the NDI to show up. So let us know if there's any issues. Hey, chat, let us know if there's any issues with audio or anything, because right now we are screen recording from Teams. So hopefully it's good. But yeah, let us know if you don't hear Cam or something like that. I think I've set up everything. But yeah. In the meantime, we want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Otoy, for sponsoring the show, sponsoring the podcast. They are our universal sponsor. You know them, you love them. They're the makers of Octane Render and the Render Network. With Octane, you can create super photorealistic renders in a fraction of the time of other render engines. And for those scenes that need a little extra boost of power, you've got the Render Network at your disposal. You can check them out, otoy.com, or you can try out the Render Network, try.rendernetwork.com. The Render Network is fantastic, and I have been using it steadily for lots and lots of things. Actually, I've with a lot of the clients I've been working with lately, they've been all Redshift stuff, so I've still been sending all my Redshift stuff to the Render Network, and I got to tell you, the Render Network with Redshift is awesome. It works really well. Cam, have you messed with Redshift? Have you messed with the Render Network at all?
I have messed with the Render Network. I have not messed with Redshift on the Render Network, but I definitely have a love-hate relationship with Redshift currently as well.
So do I.
Oh man.
The biggest issue that I've run into, and I've run into this several times, especially with so I've been freelancing it, already been chewed. And a good majority of their guys are Houdini animators. So what they'll do in order to get stuff over to C4D and using lots of particles and stuff like that, what they do is they'll do Redshift proxies of Redshift proxies, in order to keep the file size down. And so unfortunately, Cinema 4D doesn't allow you to relink the location of a Redshift proxy inside a Redshift proxy. So you can't make it a relative. It's always going to be an absolute thing. So with that, you can't send it to the Render Network because,
it can't live in that. You're right.
Correct. With
man.
Redshift proxies, if you're just using Redshift proxies, you can throw them into your main, folder or whatever, and it works fine.
Right.
But if you're using proxies within proxies, then yeah, it's it's because it's backwards, right? That's funny. I could flip it, but it would. You know what? I should do a backwards hat that I switch out in between things. Anyway.
Have it printed backwards. There you go.
Right, have it printed backwards.
You can do.
Specifically.
There is a way to. I don't even know if you can flip it in the program.
I can, but then it wouldn't look like I'm looking at you.
It
would be like I'm looking away from you, which would be weird.
I see.
But I guess I could switch the location of us, but I don't know.
Anyway. Oh, that's just too much work. We can't be doing that.
I heard you like proxies, so I proxy.
But no, yeah, I've used the Render Network. The only gripe I have with it is that you have to reset your output file type and all that stuff on the software. So it's in Cinema, you can select everything you want, like the multi-layer EXR with all the settings, tone map, whatever.
Redo it and stuff.
Then you got to and I get it because it builds the Orbix file and sends it up, and it doesn't maintain that Cinema information. It would be nice if it did, but you could send off a render and then be like, oh no, I didn't check one thing, and now it's borked. But that's my only gripe with it. They
recently updated it to where you can download it with Dropbox, which is just fantastic. That has been the ultimate saver in time for me. Being able to immediately download all those files directly to Dropbox.
Yes, that is very cool.
Yeah.
And I will
And
say the speed's great. Like
yeah.
I put something that on my machine, I've got two 3090s. It took 12 hours to render, and on the render network, it did it in an hour and a half. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and the two different tiers, they've got the tier 3 and the
Right.
tier 2, and the tier 2 is always so much faster than the tier 3. So I do render jobs at home. I've got my computers set up as nodes and stuff. And it's funny, so like my more powerful machines, my two dual 3090s, they'll do way less frames during the week,
Mm,
than some of my other ones. So I've got one that's like a 2080 and one that's a 2070 Ti. And you'll notice that those lower tiers get a whole lot more frames than my upper tier ones, but the upper ones, they pay out more than the smaller
right.
ones. So I'll do like 1,000 frames over a week on one of my lower tiered ones, and I'll do 150 on my higher tiered ones. It's because the tier 3 ones. So it's interesting because the tier 3, this is super nerd talk. It's
I'm all about
it's
it.
my special interest right now, so I'm very excited about it.
That's cool.
So, if you're using the render network, tier 3 is actually an Octane bench from 0 to 300. Anything over
Uh,
300, that's why you get a cheaper cost, because they're actually sending it to lower tiered cards. You
that makes
know,
sense.
yeah. So
Hmm.
anything over 300, like from 300 to 15,000 or whatever, is tier 2. So. That's
Gotcha.
why it says, don't use tier 3 if you're in a rush, blah, 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 if you're just throwing stuff up there. I don't know. It's pretty cool. So, yeah.
Love it. Yeah,
Yep.
I've enjoyed working with it. Yeah, most stuff I can get out on my own machine, but if I'm in a crunch, I'll send it up there.
For sure. For sure. And now you're typically an Octane guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an Octane lover, and yeah, just something I did recently was like I'm sure there's a way to do this in Redshift. I need to call Chad Ashley and be like, explain this to me. But render layer in Octane is really powerful because I had an environment that I wanted to get rid of. And then I had these like beach balls bouncing around,
Hmm.
and I wanted shadows and reflections from the beach balls without the environment so that I could comp it into something else in After Effects.
Yeah.
And doing it in Redshift was just such a pain because the reflections were pulling too much of the background, and the shadows were the shadow AOV in Redshift blows my mind. I don't know how that works. It's so weird. It's like a different color.
Hmm.
In Octane, it's beautiful. It's like it cuts out the beach balls, just the shadows, cuts out the beach balls, just the reflections of like the environment. You can comp it in so easy. And like I
And
said, I'm sure there's a way to do this in Redshift,
and you
but
were just using
drove me
like
crazy.
render comps, like the actual building out your own custom AOV or whatever, right?
Yes, yes. Well,
Yeah.
I wasn't doing custom AOVs. I was
Okay.
just doing the preset ones that they have. I'm sure
Oh,
there's a way to do it with a custom AOV where you
yeah.
like select, what you want to be pulled out. But yeah, it was tricky. But I ended up like I'm just gonna rebuild this in Octane really quick and get the stuff I need out.
That's funny.
But yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I was working on a project right before I got on the podcast, where I'm having to, because I'm working in Redshift, so I'm creating kind of like an X-ray effect or something on a character, and in order to do that, like I was using a couple of nodes and then a Fresnel shader to mix between the two. But once
Mm.
you throw the Fresnel shader as like the opacity map or whatever, you'd get some of the stuff behind or in between and stuff. And it's like, just want to take that exactly as it is and use that as a black and white. So like project that back onto it as a black and white. And I was like, dude, I could do this in Octane in a heartbeat because of all the compositing nodes and stuff like that.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
the compositing stuff
Yeah.
is pretty powerful, but man, it doesn't, my brain doesn't work too well like that.
Oh yeah, and like I said, I'm sure Redshift has a way to do it, but it's yeah, I just without spending an entire day learning how every AOV works and how to
Yeah,
build hyper specific custom AOVs, like
yeah.
it's easier in Octane for as of
99% of
right
the
now.
time you won't need that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But the 1%, it wastes your whole day trying
Right.
to figure it out.
Isn't that the truth? That's funny. So, yeah, Cam, we've known each other for a while. It's so funny. We met through our Halo group chat. Was it Ariev who brought you on to the Halo group?
It was, well, we originally met at the 3D motion design tour in Denver in
Okay.
2017, 2018,
I have no idea.
maybe somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had been watching the podcast and seeing all that, and I was like, man, how do I get into this Slack group? Because I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, screw it, I'm going to this motion design tour just so I can talk to these guys. So,
That's funny.
yep, showed up, and then you guys were super chill and down to earth, and I was like, this is awesome. And
We
yeah, I've
were.
never
We're
looked
not now
back.
anymore. I'm just
No, no, not anymore, not
Yeah.
anymore.
But
But
no,
yeah, it was a great experience to just go to an event and just start networking, and it's extremely vital to do that when you run your own business, just because yeah, word of mouth and who you know is really important in this industry
yeah, for sure.
for self-employed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we kind of became friends, through that, and then we've got a Halo group full of like it's like what, probably 15, 20 motion designers. And like it
I wouldn't
started
even
off
consider a Halo group
it's not
anymore.
we haven't played Halo in years. But
No,
yeah,
no.
like it used to be before we had Discord and stuff. It was like we just had this text message chain where, we would all like, "Hey, let's get on Halo" or whatever.
Yeah.
But now it's like this kind of just became our group of very close motion designers who
Yeah.
get together. We just throw stuff up. Hey, look at the cool thing I did, or like,
Yep.
hey, look, AI's taking our gerbs, or something like that. But it was so funny because like you and I started working together back when me and Dave were working on like the original Madden. We needed some help, and so I
Right.
just kind of threw it out to the Halo group chat. And you were like, "Oh yeah, I can help out." And so it's so funny because I didn't know any of your work at that time. I was like, "All right, let's see." I went to your webpage. I was like, "All right, cool, let's give him a chance." And then you became our go-to.
Oh,
like
thanks, man.
like seriously, there are two people that I always recommend for a job, and it is you are one of them. So I
Oh, thank
I
you,
I
man. I
have been
appreciate that.
continually impressed by your work and your speed as well. Like you just know your stuff, and it's great.
Oh,
So
thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah,
yeah, man.
I really just dove into 3D in like full time in like 2019.
Yeah.
I've been doing mostly 2D and editing for my entire career, but dove into 3D in 2019, like fully jumped in, and so I've been excited to transition to that point in my career, and I've been doing that for 6 years now,
Yeah.
and yeah, I love it. I love 3D. Still do some 2D.
Yeah.
I'd say I've pretty much written off editing, or at least right
Yeah.
now. I just don't enjoy
Get
that
that.
at all.
Yeah.
But
It's good to have on your resume. Yeah, I could do
yeah, I
editing,
guess in a pinch,
in a
I'll be
pinch.
like, all right, I'll cut some stuff together. If
Yeah.
I'm really starving for food.
Right.
I'll do an editing job. But
Where'd you go to college? Where'd you start?
yeah, so started at LA Film School,
Oh, rad.
and yep, it's like, I think I was 18, and I was like, I want to go to film school,
Yeah.
and
I want to be a
it was
director.
expensive. It was
I'm sure it
expensive.
was.
I'm still paying for it. I'm almost
Yeah.
done though, thank
Yeah.
God. But yeah, it was expensive, and I learned a lot. But I'd say, if you were thinking about going that route, I would go teach yourself online.
Hmm.
There's so many tutorials and so many, like, Blender's free if you haven't heard,
What?
and that's just a running joke. Um, yeah, if you want to get into 3D, get Blender and start doing tutorials, because you don't need schooling, or take a hyper specific school
Yeah.
that focuses on specifically 3D. Or I know School of Motion's got plenty of classes
Yeah.
that hit on that. Spend your money there. Don't
Yeah.
don't give it to a giant institution. But
Sounds like you had a wonderful experience in college.
yeah, it was great. No, I mean, I learned a lot. It was cool, but it was like, oh man, it was LA, and it was everyone's out there to just, you know, use you,
Yeah.
and at that stage, film school is like, oh, you can come shoot this for me for free or
Yeah.
exposure. Or,
Yeah.
I had to get out of LA as soon as I got there. So it was only a year film school, and when I was done, I was like, well, I'm ready to leave.
Yeah. Did
So
you, while you were there, how do you feel it like? Because actually, you're the first person I've talked to who is in this industry who went to film school versus like,
mm,
like went into like either graphic design and transferred over, or went to SCAD or something like that. I
right.
I I would assume that would give you kind of like a different vision almost, or something like that.
Mm,
Like,
mm,
how did that affect what you were doing? And like, were you actually going through and like shooting films and like short
yeah.
films and like
Oh
learning
yeah.
the cameras and stuff like that?
It was it was a cool program. I would say every month was something different. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like 1 month was editing, 1 month was production, 1 month was set building, 1 month was screenwriting. Like it was every gambit of filmmaking, which was really cool. So if I was on the fence about what I wanted to be, you got to dip your feet in every aspect of filmmaking, which if you fell in love with one thing more than the other, you could be like, well, I definitely want to design sets now because I love that
Yeah.
as opposed to shooting or something like that. So that was a cool part of it. I, Ironically enough, I was officially an editor in my mind at that point, and like throughout the entire year, editing was at the very end of the school year, and I got like A's and B's through all my classes, and then I get to editing, I get like a C. And I'm
Really?
like, yeah, I just didn't care enough to try in that class. So it was the worst one I did, but
That's so funny.
um, yeah, but yeah, I'd say it influenced me in that regard to like I got to touch all the aspects of filmmaking, which was really fun, and get taught by professionals
Yeah.
on how to do that. So
Yeah.
that was a cool part of it. But I wanted to be an editor at that point, and then graduated and still wanted to edit feature films,
Uh-huh.
but started and then I shifted to a job here in Colorado Springs, and we were editing car spots.
Ah,
And
like you
so a
do.
lot of car spots need
Yeah.
motion graphics and
Yeah.
199 a month
Right?
and all that stuff. So I got good at being really fast at building car spots, adding motion graphics, and that's kind of where I fell in love with motion graphics because I like that side of it better. So
Yeah.
then I started to mess with Element 3D and taking After Effects
Nice.
into a more 3D world, and I'm like, oh, this is where it's at. And then the second I opened Cinema and rendered something in Octane, I was like, oh my gosh, this is
Ah,
where
dude,
it's
so
at.
you didn't even have to deal with standard render. You're just straight into
Nope,
Octa. You
nope.
babies.
I mean,
You
yeah, I think.
babies.
Oh yeah, I don't know what bucket rendering is. What's that? Now I will say
Oh
I did have
man.
like a standard render job at one point, and it was like right at the transitional point between like all these graphics card
Yeah.
render engines that were coming out, and I just remember like, why would I use this? Like graphics cards so much faster.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny.
I can't imagine like hitting render and then waiting like 10 minutes, 20
Yeah.
minutes for your
I
frame to spit
probably I
out.
spent probably the first 3-4 years of my, maybe longer, of my 3D career all in standard or buckets or V-Ray,
Ooh,
before
V-Ray,
yeah,
yes.
before Octane became like the regular,
Right,
or
right.
GPU rendering became the regular. Yeah. Lucky you.
I know. Yeah. I think I was part of a wave of people that was like, oh, it's much easier to get into 3D now because it's
Yeah.
faster. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I definitely rode that wave. But
Yeah. The
yeah.
it's funny you talk about, so that's crazy that the film school was only 1 year, and
Mm,
that's something that I always said about the Art Institute. It's something that I admire about trade schools, like I think they're way overpriced. I think education in general, I think education in general is overpriced, you know. But the thing that I like about trade schools is that you're immediately from day one hands-on with everything versus having to go and like take a science class or take a
right,
biology, take
right.
reading.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Yeah.
we had no core classes. It was like if you're going to learn math, it's plus and minus frames in an editing
Right.
software. Like that's the extent of math
Right.
you'll go
Hold
through.
on, let me pull out
Uh,
my black magic frame plus and minus thing on my phone, you know.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's
There's no
funny.
reason, no reason. But
Yeah,
yeah,
now
or
I
if
won't say
English was your screenwriting, like
yeah,
that's where your
right?
core classes were.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Now I won't dog the ability to go back and take a biology class, because I will say my biology class that I took after my trade school was probably my favorite class I've ever taken in my life. It gave me a much better
Mhm.
understanding of the world and how the world works. But that, I think I 100% put that because of the teacher. The teacher was
Ah,
fantastic. Anyway.
yeah, that can make a big difference.
Yeah. But
Absolutely.
I did actually, the one thing that I feel like trade schools, and I don't know about this one with yours, but like with my particular trade school, like they didn't teach you the basics of like good design, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like if with the graphic design programs and stuff like that, they probably more than likely did. But I was in a video production and editing, and they would teach you about like uh almost like weight, like and framing and
Yep.
stuff like that. But that
Yep.
was about it, you know.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I can't remember, but I know there was probably we barely touched on, composition, at least with like yeah, the shooting portion of that, like
Yeah.
how to balance a frame, different frame, you know, focal sizes and how those work best with certain shots and be a design aspect like learning typography or
Mm-hmm.
anything that goes along with motion graphics. There was not much of that because it
Yeah.
was mostly focused on filmmaking and not necessarily motion design.
Yeah.
So I've had to teach myself all those skills throughout the years.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I went back to school because my original thing was video production, and I'd been in video production since I was in high school. I've been doing this for a really long time. Should have retired by now. But I started doing video production when I was 16 years old, back in 98. Uh and then just it was the only thing that I ever really enjoyed. And it was so funny is because in high school it's like, oh, I just want to hang out with my friends. Oh, you're taking a TV class? Okay, cool. I'll take a TV
Right.
class,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so and then I kind of fell in love with it, fell in love with editing. We were using a Mac OS 9 Avid.
Ooh,
Yeah, dude.
fancy.
And so,
Oh my gosh.
because of that, my brother went to the Art Institute for graphic design. He's like, hey, they have a video production program. I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that, blah, blah, blah. And then a year later I did, you know, but it's like, I don't know. It was okay.
Did
There's a
you get refunded
there's a
for your art
reason why they went
institute
out of business.
degree?
No, and I'll tell you, I'm a
My
little
wife
pissed
did.
about that, because so here's the thing, like,
Were you like the cutoff, like 10 years or something like
no,
that?
I paid them off before I could get a refund, because I
Ah,
sold my Beeple for a buttload of money and then
yeah,
paid
right.
off my student loans, and then they forgave them because Art Institute of Dallas shut down.
But I want to say you should look into it because I want to say we got forgiven for the remainder and they refunded us for what we
Really?
paid so far.
Hmm.
I would check into it, man. I don't know if there was a limit as to like how many years.
Yeah.
But my wife did a residential planning degree and we
Uh-huh.
got refunded for the entire thing.
That's nice. That's
So
super nice.
check it
Yeah,
out.
I
Might be
mean,
worth it.
I've still got some student loans from the college I didn't graduate from, but
Oh, fun.
whatever. It's fine. You know. I honestly,
Well,
they've been in deferment for like since COVID, because there's been so much legal fighting about student loans and
right,
forgiveness and stuff that I'm just like,
right.
I don't know if I'm ever going to have to repay these, There's no interest on them right now, so what's the point?
Yeah,
Anyway,
absolutely. Let them sit.
right?
Let them sit because
Um
they'll probably be forgiven. I don't know. We'll
yeah,
see.
maybe. I don't know. We're all going to be dead by then.
Yeah,
That's a real positive way of thinking about it.
yeah, yeah.
Speaking of, did you see the stuff that Google released the past week with their AI video stuff?
Oh, I've been seeing a lot better like voice to mouth. Is
Yeah.
that all? Is that what it is? Google's
Yeah.
VO
Like
or
where,
whatever.
yeah, VO or whatever, where they're like,
I
oh, can
my
you
favorite
believe
right
we're a
now are the
prompt? We're a prompt? It's like, oh
oh
boy.
yes. I've heard that joke. My favorite right now are the little babies. They have like babies talking over like movie
Yeah.
scenes and
Yeah.
stuff. Those are so funny.
Have you seen the
They did
the
the
baby podcast episode? Oh my gosh,
uh-uh.
I'll have to find it on TikTok. It's so funny. Me and my kid watch it all the time. Where it's the little baby podcast, and like you'll have just this baby who's talking, and he's interviewing like the dog. And the dog talks too. And he's like, I have to ask this question because, I'm a baby and I don't know stuff, but what are you? And it's like that use of AI is really like I like that. It's
Yeah.
entertainment,
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
it's adding for me, I think it's adding to the overall like uh 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 pop culture zeitgeist,
I would agree.
It's
I
like
would agree.
versus let's cut out the jobs of motion designers and like production people, and like just use AI for it from now,
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I think it's like if you're not stealing away someone's job who had to create that baby video,
Yeah.
it's like you're some Joe Schmo can make it because he can type a prompt or she can type a prompt and they're able to generate these fun videos that people get a laugh out of. I think that's harmless, like
Yeah.
that's fun. But when you're like actively going out of your way to steal jobs from people,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
man, that sucks.
Yeah.
Um, but
uh
I think we still got a long way to go before it's really taking over.
I think the cost is going to be heavily prohibitive
Mm,
for smaller companies and stuff like that. I don't know because what is it? It's $250 a month for the Google VO stuff,
hmm
and I don't know how many credits that gives you and stuff. And I also
Right.
heard that just one of those 10-second, 15-second videos is like running a microwave for an hour straight.
Mm,
So it's like I can see like we're having a hard enough time moving over to renewable energy, you know? Like, yeah, let's jack up the amount of energy we need so that we can make talking baby videos.
build more nuclear power plants so we can get our
Right.
talking baby videos.
So, but yeah, it's like I'm curious to see where this goes, especially for I don't know, studios and stuff like that. Is it gonna
Mm,
hurt the big studios? Is it gonna hurt the small studios? Is it like are you how customizable is it? I was talking to Barton about this morning. I was like, it's cool, but how art directable? How customizable? Like, can I put in
yeah.
the exact prompt that a client needs and get back something one to one? Or make adjustments or something. Dave was talking about this the other day with a client that he had, where it's like they sent him this AI video and they're like, "Oh, here, just use this and then just change this little thing." He's like, "Well, the amount of time that I'm going to spend changing this AI video to be what you want, I could literally just do it completely in 3D and have full
Control.
creativity with
Yeah.
it,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm still working on a project where it's heavily AI generated video and content. And it's just, it's a constant struggle to get exactly what you want. If you're hyper detailed with what you want, it is so much work and so many different AI outlets to pump things in one and pump it into another.
Yeah.
And it's just a constant battle to get a hyper specific shot of what you want. If you're a lot more relaxed on what you need, I think AI can spit out some cool looking stuff. And say you're making a flyer for a painting company or something like that. You
Mm-hmm.
just have AI generate something like an image you need or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and you're not so specific about it. I think it's a great use case for that. But yeah, the more specific, especially in the video world, it's a lot of canoodling to get it where you need it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And
But
I don't know.
I've found, I will say AI's got some pretty cool tools though. I've just recently discovered two plugins. One's called Mask Prompter and the other's called Goodbye Green Screen.
Okay.
Goodbye Green Screen's more human based, but this is for After Effects and it will take a video clip and it will use AI to cut out your character. And Mask Prompter is more object focused. So if you need like a soccer ball or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it does a pretty good job. I would say it might not be production ready. I've had some crashes going on with it,
Yeah.
but what you can do is render out something on alpha and re-import it back to the project so that it's like baked in and it's good to go. You don't have to worry about crashing on render. But
Is
those
it?
are really cool tools. But with that being said, also I'm working on a project now where we sent out a bunch of frames to be rotoed by humans
Mm-hmm.
and the humans kill it. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
incredible. Like professional roto artists, oh my God, I don't know how they do the stuff that they do because
Frame by
AI is
frame.
not even close, frame by frame.
Yeah.
And I've worked frame by frame before, and my stuff gets all jittery and all over
Yeah.
the place.
Same.
Like these guys are pros. So I will say we're maybe far away from that, but a quick and dirty roto that might be better than Roto Brush.
Mm-hmm.
Check out those plugins because
Do you know if
they do a pretty good job.
what their back end is? Because what's funny to me is that you had this big influx of AI tools and stuff like that, and like they were
Hmm.
literally just using like, you know, Midjourney or Comfy AI or something like that. They
Mm-hmm.
were literally all using the exact same tools.
I will say they pipe in local models
Mm-hmm.
for that are trained on humans and objects and other assets. Um, and I think there's a portion where it can go over the network. I don't know. I think it literally loads to your graphics card and then is trained on specific models that you can select through to see which one's the best one to
Okay.
to
Okay.
to do what you want to do. So say you got a human, it's got like a model called Human 2024, and it's like a most accurate model to get humans, and then they've got like other ones and it's a pretty cool tool. If you
Yeah.
need a quick and dirty mask for objects or humans, Goodbye Green Screen and Mask Prompter does a pretty good job.
Okay.
So
I've
cool,
used
cool tool.
Runway a couple of times, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like if you don't need if you don't need highly accurate, you know, roto stuff, it's like okay, this is good. This works for
Yeah.
me, you know.
And Runway is good, but with these plugins, it's just nice to stay in After Effects and just
Yeah, for
not have
sure.
to upload your clip, have it do the thing, download your clip.
Yeah, I can see
Like
that. I can see that.
it's like you put the plugin on. You can even type a prompt as it like generates a prompt through the mask name, and so you
Mhm.
change the mask name to like human or beach ball or whatever, and it will like find it within the image and isolate it.
Interesting.
It's
That's
pretty
kind of
cool.
cool. That's
Yeah.
cool.
So check it out if you're needing to do something like that. But
One of my favorite AI things that uh they're like transitions that people have created in AI where they'll take like the end of like one scene and then the beginning of another and they'll do like a 15 frame like morph or
mm,
something. I've seen
hmm
it done a lot on like TikTok videos and stuff and it's like I really enjoy that. Like the things that I like about AI are almost like the mistakes or like
hmm
weird things that you can do, you know? Like when Dave does it, he sends me the weirdest like Instagram videos ever and I freaking love them. I love it when it's weird, you know?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
like
Like you got AI with like a hairy eyeball, like on some
yes,
weird
it's
creature,
like
and you're like,
something
oh,
you
you would
wouldn't
never imagine that.
exactly. You know? And it's like
Yes.
that stuff is the stuff that I enjoy, but it's like I don't know. And it's also like it kind of freaked me out yesterday or a couple days ago when I was seeing the Google VO stuff and it's like
Yeah.
they've gotten so realistic and you've got
Hmm.
these videos of these people like saying, "Did you know I'm a prompt? I'm a prompt. What do you think about being a prompt?" And it's like, "Oh shit. They got so good at this. I don't even know. Am I a prompt? Are you a prompt? Are we prompts? Is that all we are?
The
It's
whole
like,
Matrix
give
idea,
me the
right?
life story of a guy who works in 3D and just so happens to like and runs a podcast and can't catch a break. Or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. That's always been the sci-fi story, right? Like we're all just part of a computer system by some alien who's
Yeah.
just running us as a
Yeah.
he's running a model of humanity, and he's like,
Yeah.
oh, this is interesting.
Let's
What are
check.
my humans doing today?
Let's check on one of my Sims. Let's check on
Yes.
my Sim Matt. Oh, look,
I will
he's
say
doing
these Sims
another
are very accurate
podcast.
and fast.
438 weeks worth.
Oh, dang, they're at 438. Yeah.
Oh, seems like just yesterday because it probably was yesterday and we're on
Yeah,
fast
right.
time. Let's see how long he
Oh
can
my
go
gosh.
10 years later. Welcome to
Yes.
episode 900. Oh, anyway.
That's
So,
funny.
okay, what's a lot of the work you've been doing lately? Because going like kind of in talks with the whole AI thing, I have
Mhm.
noticed the big clients that I've had lately are all sports stuff. I don't
Hmm.
know about you. Like, I
Uh,
feel like sports is going to be constant. You know, it's the
mm,
one thing that AI is going to take maybe last in our industry.
mm. Yeah, I was even thinking uh, something I saw the other day is they have videos based on data, like it was for hockey, and they basically have, they have the puck with a chip or something inside of it. They have all the
Yeah.
players that are rigged up. When, at what point is AI just going to be like the live data being streamed into something wild, like they could be playing underwater or like something crazy like
So,
that, and then we're just pulling data into sports and then repackaging it in something wild, or like the Super Bowl, they did that like with SpongeBob or Toy Story, like where
yes.
they had all
Okay.
the players.
So,
Yes.
not sure if you know this, but if you go on to HBO Max, I believe it is, look up
Mhm.
the Hockeyverse. So,
Oh, okay.
there's a company, Game Day Creative. Do you know Eric Say?
Don't.
And Patty over at Game Day Creative, they worked on the Hockeyverse. Some of us may or may not have helped with that. I don't know. Uh, but basically, what they did was they created. I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about this. Anyway, but yes,
Yeah.
there are sensors in all of those things, which, the Hockeyverse is basically virtual versions of these entire games, which are more like, pointed towards kids and stuff like that. And they've got
Yes,
these little
yes.
puck characters that are dancing and stuff like that. It's really cool. It's exactly what you were talking about, but that's the hockey version that they did because everyone has sensors in all of their stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and also what I was thinking too, like video games, right?
Mm,
So they're able to take all the data from the player, pump it into their video game, and then it sims exactly like the player would play in real life,
yeah.
right? So it's like, at what point does AI and video games like meld together, and then you've got like extremely accurate data on a player, and their skill level is based on how they play. It
Yeah.
could be like live data they're pulling. Like that's all going to be insane.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
I don't know.
it's
I
crazy.
really like a couple of years ago they showed off like video game overlays and stuff, where it was like
Mhm.
it was Fortnite, but like you could choose a different
Oh,
overlay
yes,
that you want. I like that. I
right.
think that's a cool idea,
Yeah, in
because it doesn't
case you want to
necessarily
play the video
change
game
the
some way.
gameplay, but like you get a
Hmm.
totally different look, which I like.
Right. They'll start selling them as skins, right? So like
Yeah.
reskin your entire
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, seriously.
$60. Did you
60.
see Nintendo Switch games are jumping up to $85?
Here's what pisses me off.
Oh
All right.
my gosh.
Here's my rant about that. So they switched over from where you can buy the game online to now these virtual cards, right?
Oh yeah, but the game's not even on there.
Well, yes, but like no, so like when you download a game now from the Nintendo store, it goes onto a virtual card and it says virtual card, right? And they did this with the current Switch, right? So my kid, we bought him Let's Go Eevee years ago, and then he lost it, and so we bought him Let's Go Eevee again, and then he lost it. So just recently, he wanted to get back into Let's Go Eevee, even though I keep telling him, you've got Let's Go Pikachu. It is the same game. No, I got it. Hyper focus on Let's Go Eevee, right?
He keeps letting go of Eevee.
Right. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to buy it digitally because I don't like having digital games because if you do not own an actual game, that's not that's not what I do. If you don't physically own the software and they're allowed to like take it away from you, like no, what's the point of buying digital software? So
yeah,
I bought it, digitally because I was like, well, now he can never lose it, right?
Right.
Someone hacked my account.
Oh God.
And loaned it out to themselves. And do you know how you get your game back when you loan it to someone? Their Switch has to be next to you.
Oh, what? How did they?
I have no idea. So someone from Sweden hacked my account, stole my copy of Let's Go Eevee, and so I had to physically call Nintendo to get them to like put it back on my account and rechange everything. And it was a pain. I spent like an hour or two out of my day, because I had to go onto a digital thing. And it's stupid.
Gosh.
Also, I hate digital.
That seems like so much work to steal a game.
I know.
Like if you have to have the Switches together, maybe they modded a Switch and matched your serial and like,
Maybe.
Are you that low on cash that you can't buy a game? You got to spend your entire
right. I mean,
day
why are you
going to
steal it from me? Just like, hack your system and
yeah, right. Why even steal at that point? I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're already stealing.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's frustrating and it makes me mad. It really makes me mad about the whole digital aspect of stuff where it's like, okay, you're buying this, but you're actually just renting it from us. You will never physically own this game. We are just giving you a digital version that you can borrow until you die, or we
creepy.
decide that like it's not, we don't want you to use it anymore, or we've outdated it or something. It's like, I've got a bunch of games on my 3DS that like I downloaded and now I can't play anymore because they don't have their store up anymore.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's very true. If you don't have a physical, eventually it will go bye-bye.
Yeah. I hope there's something similar. Like you see these little Switch game cards where you can load the games onto, and like put it in and it counts as like one thing, but then it sees. That's the way it's going to be. That's the way I think so I've got an EverDrive for both my Super Nintendo and my Nintendo, and it allows you to put all your ROMs on there and play off of that. So you're playing on original hardware, because that's the thing that I really like. I really like playing on original hardware, especially some of the old stuff with the CRTs and things, because it feels it's way more natural than playing it on, this is my other special interest. But
yes, I know.
It's like, so like if you have a Switch cartridge, once they get rid of it and stuff, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna do it this way. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I hear a lot of people say if buying isn't owning, then downloading is not stealing. And I was like, I kind of like that. I like that.
Hey, yeah, that is. Then
pirating
nice.
is not stealing. That's what it is.
Yeah, right, right.
So,
yeah.
What were you gonna say?
But back to what I'm working on. I'm currently doing a project for the Sphere, and that's about the extent as I can talk about. But it's for the internals of the Sphere, and it's not a concert visual.
Okay.
So it's a really cool project, and man, there's just so much technical side of the Sphere. It's insane. I mean, you'll have like a 3-hour conversation just talking about like how the color is going to work in there and how it's insane. And then you're working at these astronomical file sizes,
Right.
um,
The inside is what, 16,000 pixels or something?
something like that. Yeah,
It's yeah. Like the
yeah,
inside is way heavier than the outside.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, it's just a massive screen, and so it's not sport related, but it's one of the more technical projects I've ever worked on,
Yeah.
and it's really fun, really rewarding, and uh yeah, I would love to see it in person, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But
Yeah.
um
Uh,
yeah,
I
but it's a really cool project.
yeah, I went to the Sphere, what was it, in January? Yeah, I think it was in January. With my wife, and we saw the what is it, greetings from Earth or messages from Earth, the Darren Aronofsky one, right?
Mm,
And so like you're in Vegas, you're there to have a good time, you're there to party, you're there to go see shows and stuff, and then you go see the Earth one, and it's like, oh, we destroyed the Earth, we've got to find a new place to terraform, and it's like, wow, this is the most depressing movie I've ever seen in my life, you know? And it's like, yeah, it's really cool to like be underwater and see the giant fish and like all this other stuff, and like, but it's like, I'm in Vegas, man. Don't depress me like
yeah,
that.
right,
It's like,
right.
and it ends, the way it ends is like, don't get me wrong. I love Darren Aronofsky. I think he's one of the best directors in the entire world, right? But it's like, and yes, a lot of his stuff is very depressing. But it's like, the ending is so stupid. It's like, we destroyed the Earth, so we have to go somewhere else. And then they press a cube and it terraforms the whole planet of this new thing. It's like, why couldn't you put that cube on Earth? Just terraform Earth, you know? It's so
Right,
stupid.
right.
Anyway.
Yeah, you wanna go and see a show and be dazzled, not have to think
Right,
about your life
exactly.
choices.
Give me Showgirls and Wayne Newton, and I'll be happy on the Sphere. But I did say, I told my wife, I said, this probably would work way better with concert visuals. Like, I feel like
Mm.
the Sphere was specifically made for concert visuals. Like, cool stuff, like the Grateful Dead show. I'm not a Grateful Dead fan, but I would go see a Grateful Dead show at the Sphere just because I
Oh
feel like
yeah,
their visuals are very trippy, you know?
absolutely. I think any artist you see at the Sphere would just be like, I love this artist now.
Yeah,
Just be a life-changing experience.
right.
Yeah.
That's funny. So, how's I'm assuming everything that you're doing for the Sphere, if you can talk about this, you know, I don't know how much you can. Is it pre-rendered, or is anything like being
Mm.
real-time rendered?
Nothing's real-time rendered.
Mm-hmm.
And we're cheating a little bit. I don't know what I can and can't talk about, so I'm a
Yeah.
little hesitant. Like I don't want to be like
Yeah.
say something that isn't accurate or whatever, but
Sure.
there's a little bit of cheating going on, so we don't have to render the entire inner sphere and we can
Okay.
focus on like an isolated section, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And then I know they're using like the sphere provides some assets that are already
Yeah. I've
rendered
seen
and
some of
and
those.
we're able to
Yeah.
steal some of that. So um yeah, it's a huge undertaking. Like my After Effects maxes out at like I don't know, is it 10K by 10K, or
Something
if
like
you try
that.
and put a 12K EXR into After Effects, it'll say nah,
Oh my gosh, I
nah,
can
we
only
good.
imagine. Jeez.
So you have to like do your final comp in Nuke to even output. And their deliveries at the Sphere, they want EXRs in Rec 709. And yeah, you got to use
Wow.
Nuke to get it out.
Okay,
Hmm.
so they are they compositing everything together in Nuke, and you're just giving them image sequences?
Uh, we're compositing our little section that we have of the sphere in After Effects, and
Okay,
then they're stitching together like a back plate with the plate that we've built. So
rad.
like my After Effects comp is like 8K, and then it's getting stitched onto a 12K.
Man,
Yeah, it's
I wonder
big.
if
It's
After
real
Effects,
big.
if that's on the horizon or even whatever for the Adobe team to be able to allow for larger sizes and stuff like that. Because I mean,
Right.
you know, back when I started, it was 640 by 480, and it still struggled. You know, it's like you got to HD and it's like, oh man, you're shooting in HD. Oh, what, 4K? You want
Oh yeah.
4K? You
Oh
know,
yeah.
but I feel like
My
we're
poor
getting faster
computer.
and faster, especially with a lot of these new Macs and stuff like that. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
able to handle it okay, you know?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, I remember that too. Just like the jump to HD was like, oh gosh, this is hard on the computer. And then it was like 4K. And we're
yeah,
like, we're just doubling the resolution. That can't be too bad. But it was
yeah.
like, oh, now
No,
frames
you're
take three
quadrupling
times.
the
Yeah, oh, yeah,
resolution.
right.
Yeah.
Right, right, right. And then now I'm rendering an 8K image and
Yeah.
it's still pretty fast.
Yeah.
Like I'm really proud of my computer. I think the processor's from 2019, 2020,
Yeah.
and she's still jamming, but yeah, I got 128 gigabytes of RAM, and I'm using every bit of that
Yeah.
to get these images out.
Yeah. And you're on PC, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
I since I switched over to my Mac Studio, I switched over a year or two ago and it's been fantastic. Like I got to say both Cinema and After Effects are both much more stable on a Mac, and I just bought a MacBook Pro, the
Oh.
M4 Pro, because so
Ooh.
it's probably a really stupid reason for doing this, like spending the type of money, but it's like my laptop that I had was just it was a Razer, but it was like a 1060, you know, on the inside. So
Mm-hmm.
the most annoying thing about it is I would have my headphones on over at ABC, and I could only ever like listen. I couldn't listen. It would connect. My headphones would connect to my phone and to my PC at the same time, right? But not at the same time. So like I'd be listening to a book because I listen to a lot of books. Like that's what I do while I'm working.
Yeah.
And then someone would be talking to me and they wouldn't hear me, and then they'd have to send me a message that I'd get the message on my phone, but I'd look over and have to switch it. I bought a Mac so that I could like iPhone mirror on my
Uh-huh. Right. You
computer
got
at
all
the
your
same
stuff.
time. So it's
Wow.
like, yeah. But I
Steve
did
Steve
buy I
Jobs is smiling in his
right.
grave right now.
But I
It's like,
bought the,
got him.
I did the 48 gigs of unified VRAM and stuff like that. So it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if for some reason I'm out of town and I need to like work on a project or something, I'm not limited. Like I'm good, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
So,
I bought a laptop to if I'm out, I can like parsec into my computer and
yeah.
like even work that way as long as I've got like parsec is amazing. It's
Yeah.
so fast.
Yeah.
It's like yeah, it's like you're working on your machine
100%.
without
I
it.
mean, that's what, you know, we use over at ABC. We've got people in Greece and Spain and, you know, Canada, and they're all just parseced into the local computers at ABC. It's pretty great.
That's
It's fun
great.
just walking by and seeing all of them working on their own stuff, and it's like you just stand there like, oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
just
It's
be
really
like, what's
good.
this guy? Oh,
Yeah.
that's how he did
Yeah.
that. Yeah, when
It's
I
pretty
was
good.
starting out, it was like I was like, Arya, can I just come to your house and just sit over your shoulder and watch you
Right.
work just
Yeah.
so I can like learn how you're doing things? Because
Yeah.
yeah, I remember doing that a couple times. He's just so fast. He's just like
I
jamming
know.
through and like the way he builds things
The way
and
his brain
uh,
works is, yeah,
oh, he's an
it's
alien.
crazy. He's an alien. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super valuable. That's kind of what I miss about freelance is working in a studio. You can just pop into someone's office and see what they're working on
Yeah.
and just like check in with them. And or if you have a question, you go to
Yeah.
somebody who knows more than you and you're like, how do you do this? I mean, with the Discord, the MoGraph Discord, that's been super helpful. If I'm like stuck on something, I'll go in
Mm-hmm.
there and be like, yo, whoever's here, help me.
Yeah.
Poor Vernon, he gets all my Redshift questions. I'm like, dude, what's going on?
I feel like I feel like Vernon is he's a secret agent. He knows everything. Like
Yeah, he
literally
does.
everything.
That's super helpful to just pop in there and be like, yo, I need help. And somebody's usually got an idea on how to fix something. So
Yeah,
without that, I'd be on an island and just like
I know.
be
That
sad.
was one of the hard things. You know, sometime a couple of different jobs I had where I was basically the top. You know, like they brought me on. I was
Mm,
the only video person, or we had someone who was below me, and it's
right.
like you don't have, anyone to like look up to or learn from or
Yeah.
something. And what sucks when that happens is you kind of you feel like you stagnate a bit,
Mhm.
I don't know. At
Yeah,
least
there's
I
no
felt
growth.
like that. Yeah.
The only way to stay in your growth is you have to actively be searching for like tutorials on how to
For
grow,
sure.
in skill sets in different areas, or that studio will supply you with a job that's like out of your wheelhouse, and you're like, oh God,
Yeah.
I got to learn how to do this. That is the
Yeah.
best way to learn. I
Yeah.
remember when I first got a job, it was like this giant glorified PowerPoint and After Effects.
Love
And I
it.
kind of knew After Effects, but
Yeah.
I really didn't. I was like, yeah, I can do that, no problem. And then I'm like, okay, I got a deadline. I got to do
Yep.
this. Like, oh man, that is the best way to learn. Just like overselling
Position,
yourself
scale,
and then
rotation, transparency. That's all you need to know in After
that's
Effects.
all you need to know. How do you make a keyframe?
Right.
Uh, how to make
How
keyframe.
make you
What is
frame.
a linear
Right.
keyframe? Oh my gosh, a linear versus
Dude,
easy. Oh no,
I was in After Effects for probably 2 or 3 years before I learned about easing in and easing out. I was
dude.
just like
That is the easiest way to see if someone's like hasn't discovered that
yeah.
yet. Like all their moves are like dirt,
Yep.
dirt, like it very, very hard.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, dude, you got to check out easing.
Yeah.
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 If you want to elevate your After Effects skills, learn about easing, learn
Yeah.
about the graph editor,
Yeah.
or download a cool plugin. I use
Mr.
something called
Horse.
Ease and Whiz, which
Oh,
just
Ease and
slaps
Whiz,
like
yeah.
expressions onto linear
Yeah.
keyframes and converts them into like what kind of curve you want, which is
Yeah.
like the fastest way to build curves for me, other than like going into the curve editor and fiddling. But
For sure.
there's another plugin that does it even better. It costs money though, but it's more elegant.
Yeah.
But yeah, do some easing.
Yep.
After Effects people.
All right. Well, I got to head out because I got
Okay,
to get
dude.
back to work. But Cam,
Same.
thank you so much for being on the show. It was great to have
Thanks
you
for
on.
having me, man.
For
This
the
was
first
fun.
time. First time. We'll have to have
Yeah.
you come back. Once your
Okay.
Sphere project gets done, we'll have you come
There you
back
go.
and
Then I have to
talk
talk
about
more
it.
about it.
Right?
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Cool. Well, thanks for everyone for joining. Make sure to follow us on all the socials, especially YouTube and Twitch. We've been doing our Thursday night live streams and stuff like that. It's been a lot of fun. We got our character into Unreal Engine and we got him to jump and move and stuff. It's very exciting.
Nice.
So
Nice.
now that we've realized that we can do that, now we're going to figure out, I think this week we're probably going to start building some of our elements, like our floor things and things to jump on, and maybe some of our weapons and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of fun. So remember, we're doing that every Thursday nights at 7:30 on both the MoGraph YouTube channel and the Twitch channel. You can check it out, youtube.com/MoGraph, and then twitch.tv/MoGraph.com with all spelled out. And also if you haven't done it already, make sure to sign up for your very own MoGraph.com account. It's a one-stop shop for everything a motion designer needs. You can showcase your demo reel, projects you've worked on, post jobs, apply for jobs, sell your digital goods, find meetup groups, or start one of your own, and so much more is planned. Super excited about it. We currently have almost 800 members and are growing. We're an artist-first site where your work will always be yours and will never be fed to the AI machine. Stop feeding Zuckerberg's AI machine and start posting on MoGraph.com. So Cam, thanks so much for being on the show.
Yeah. If you want to find me, I'm cb.graphics on Instagram and cb-graphics.com if you want to check my website.
Rad. Awesome.
All right.
Well, until next time, I am Matt and you are
Cameron Butterfield.
Awesome. Later, yo.
Later.
Pretty good, I guess.